Hey, this is Chris with Cycle Source Magazine's Grease and Gears Garage. I know where we've been. You guys have been following us for the last 3 years, dragging that tool trailer all over the country and inviting our builder buddies up on stage to get into the hows and whys of motorcycle fabrication. And that was really cool, but we're working on something new now. Instead of taking the trailer to the show, we're gonna go to the builder shop. This gives us the ability to see where these guys work in their comfort zone, and better than that, we get to see the shop down the street and the places where they hang out and that part stash they don't want anybody to know about. First one of these, we're gonna go today to Will Ramsey from Faith Forgotten Choppers, and Will's gonna show us how to build an entire Faith Forgotten Choppers Springer front end. So stick around, this is a new thing we're calling the Grease and Gears Garage Roadshow.
This is gonna be a pretty good day.
You think? Because I haven't done my hair yet.
I picked Pat up kind of early. Drug him out so we could run down and see my boy Will at Faith Forgotten Choppers. I've known Will for a long time. He was an understudy of Faye Butler's and, you know, super talented.
Everybody told him he couldn't do the titanium bike, and he went ahead and did that. You know, he made a complete chassis, tins, whole line out of titanium. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out with Will's getting into a shop. Chris, I don't know if you know this, a lot of people mistake Will and I for each other at motorcycle events because we're the same weight. And yeah, he's a foot taller than me. Will has chosen to, you know, to take that weight and make muscles out of it. I myself have, you know, I'm allowing my weight to lay dormant.
All right, stick around. We're going to Will's.
I'm Will Ramsey. I own Faith Forgotten Choppers, New Albany, Indiana. I started the company in 2009. As a custom builder, you have to find ways to be an artist within the confines of still building a functional motorcycle. But at the end of the day, we build motorcycles to ride. The design and the aesthetics are just second nature to us. This is a Springer front end I'm actually building for George from Chaos Cycle in New York.
Oh, Stinsman, I love that guy.
This is a 12 over Springer. He's actually ordered a couple Springers from me. I designed this though to have the same tree setup as a 39 millimeter front end. So it's 7-inch centers on these. The dog-legged wide glides go to 8.5-inch centers.
All right, so what do we need to do first?
So the only thing I've done ahead of time was I tapered these legs in the lathe, and that's a process I do. When I do that, I set up and I knock out a whole lot because I have to really alter things in the lathe to make these long tapers. So I just do a ton of legs. That way when I have orders, I can just grab one, sand it, clean it up, and get started. First thing I do, I set the fixtures up in the jig for a 12 over Springer. I have all that kind of figured out just from time and experience. There's a lot of markings on my fixture to let me know where everything needs to be. And I make my bend marks off of the fixture. I know from my design and my drawings that my two bends are 1 inch and 6 inches off of this, this fixture point right here. So I mark those, and then this leg comes loose, and we go to the bender, and we're gonna go ahead and bend this leg and dog leg it out. We'll grab some air here. We'll hook up the bender. The second bend is 180 degrees out, and I have found that since it's tapered, the material actually changes. So I have to bend this farther by the degree finder to make it a true 7-degree bend, because the tubing is now tapering. Makes it a lot more difficult to actually measure the tubing.
I imagine.
You really can't measure it with a protractor. So ultimately what's important is that it fits back in this fixture square, and the fixture in and of itself will define what square is. Well, I'm looking for 0, although I calibrated it in the other direction, so it won't.
Seen a lot of guys get really frustrated when they're trying to make a sissy bar or even just a roll
That's what I'm looking for right there, 0, 0. Go ahead and bend this side real quick. Those bends have to be dead nuts on for it to line up in here. Right. Otherwise, you're just gonna be cranking on it and trying to hold it in place and weld it. It's all gonna spring apart when you're done. Okay, so we're where we wanna be here, but see, we're forward here, so a little more bend on this one. If you look here, Pat, we are in the bottom of both of these. It's literally lined up, dead nuts on. We're tight back here. I've got my 5-inch center all the way across. Check it right there at the bend. We're good.
All right. So we're getting ready to do the other leg?
We are.
All right. Well, I tell you what, I think this is a good place for us to take a little bit of a break. So come back. We're going to be back with more Grease and Gears Garage live from Faith Forgotten Choppers in Indiana. We'll be right back.
Yeah, she does purr. Best bike I ever owned.
No, you're never alone, because our claims reps are available 24/7. We even cover accessories and custom parts.
We did get an early start. Took the kids to soccer practice.
You want me to jump that cactus? All right. That lady's awesome.
I don't see a possum.
Okay, we're back here in New Albany, Indiana at Faith Forgotten Choppers. We've discovered a lot of stuff here about building a Springer front end. Also discovered a lot of stuff about myself personally. Just came off vacation, had a beautiful vacation, almost 20 days. Went to Maine, ate lobster and steak and cake, and then went to Canada, Nova Scotia, drank beer, anything that got near my head, I got consumed, and it shows on screen. I'm really fat. So next year I gotta be less fat because it's uncomfortable. But anyway, so we've learned a lot of stuff. Now, during the break, Will completed the other half of the back legs. And now you're the one that we initially had started on that side, you're gonna show us kind of how you finish that up so that the back leg is complete.
Correct.
All right.
So first we're gonna taper this and bevel this for weld penetration. Yes. So we're gonna take this to belt sander and sand it. This is the drill bit I use for this. This is a center drill. And if you're familiar with lathe work, center drills, they're for mill and lathe work to start a hole so that a jobber drill bit can just follow that center and not try to walk when you start it. But it also has a 60-degree included angle behind that. I use these to chamfer my rosette welds, and the reason that I don't drill just a straight hole is that it's a fairly thick wall thickness here. I'm at like 156 wall after my taper, and with a right angle wall, if I just drill straight through, when you do the rosette weld, you run the risk of having the weld bridge up and void between the material and the wall. When you have a chamfer, it's easier to get to the bottom, make sure that it melts all the way in, and then work your way out and fill the entire thing. You also have more surface area to weld against. We're gonna dress all that out, clean everything, and weld. See these little lines, that little spot right there? These are just little teeny low spots. And just through time and experience, this isn't a high spot of weld that needs to be sanded down anymore. This is actually a low spot, and I could keep sanding down to this, but it would be best to just simply come back. I'm just gonna take some 040 filler rod real thin and just touch these little spots real quick and just kiss them with a little fill rod, and then we'll go back to the belt sander, sand them a little bit, kiss it all with a DA. As Faith Forgotten Choppers developed, And as I developed, I put so much emphasis on fabrication and quality and knowledge and truth. And once I moved into a larger shop, I had an opportunity to expand and have a service shop. But I didn't want the service shop to be the kind of place where you just drop your bike off and wonder who's working on it and how the work's being done. So rather than just hiring mechanics, I went out and recruited the best guys I could find. We found Corey down in Florida, just a master technician that could out-tune just about anybody, but had a desire to go beyond the factory and go beyond the limitations of the jobs he'd had. Then we measure from the top after the weld to determine the length of the springer at the top. Cut that in a cold saw, dress that off. There's a threaded bung that gets welded in there, and then that leg's finished.
We got the legs finished. We got the threaded bungs welded in the top, and we've now assembled the entire tree assembly. So this is the lower tree with the stem, which was already pressed in. Lower tree is threaded for an internal stop. This slides right up against the fixture plate here. Clamp this guy down. Above this is the spring plate. Spring perch, I'm sorry, this is a spring perch. It is machined to accept the springs on the bottom side. We machine this on the mill for grease fittings. It gets spaced a ½ inch off of this fixture here. Could have made a dedicated fixture for it with a spacing, but this way these are interchangeable and I simply use ½ inch spacing. These are clamped. This guy will get clamped as well, but more important than clamping him is the top tree is installed, pulled tight with the bungs, sit flush, but for right now I like that they center themselves on the hole and pull this down tight. And I run this guy all the way down until I have pressure on the top tree. And I just snug it by hand. Give this a good tap, make sure that we're all the way up. Now, I've talked about this before on Greasing Gears on Stage. It's not actually necessary to have a fixture like this to build a springer. The machining alone centers the rear legs. And as long as you had a rod, a 5/8 inch rod that went all the way through the lowers, you could get this close enough to build a functional springer. I have a fixture for two reasons. First of all, I like to take that level of precision and repeatability to a higher level, and the fact that I do enough of these to warrant building a fixture so that my productivity is a little bit quicker. It's certainly quicker for me to use this than to just lay it out on a flat table and try to make it all squish. Generally, I tack this up, I get a few good welds, but I prefer to go ahead and pull it out to do the final welding in a vertical position where I can really lay the beads down, make them look real nice. Once it's tacked together, with the way this all fits together and with all of this clamped, there's just no movement. There's no real problem with warping with this. I've never found a problem with that. Everything assembles well. My quality control checks at the end always square up. Everything looks great. So get this tacked up and get this welded up, and then we can move on to the front legs when we get the time.
All right, sounds good, Will. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break. Will's going to tack this up, weld it up, and we'll be back in just a little bit we'll be making the front legs now for the Springer that's going to Chaos Cycle.
Comes the rain. What's that girl? Flo needs help? Take me to her! We're coming, Flo! Why aren't we taking roads? Flo!
Oh, you made it. Do you have change for $1?
This was the emergency? Yes, I was busy.
24-hour roadside assistance from America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
You know, I think you're my best friend. You don't have to say I'm your best friend. That's okay.
All right, Pat Jansen here with Will Ramsey at Faith Forgotten Choppers in New Albany, Indiana. We've been here for a couple of days now, and today we're going to finish up the Springer front end that we started yesterday. We worked late into the night working on it yesterday, got the machining and stuff done. Today, Will is going to show us the process for making the front of the Springer. Now, Will, the back, you know, it's a process. I mean, there's a lot of different, things that have to happen to do that. Is the front of this Springer going to be as intense? Does it?
Front's a little easier. There's really only 3 components. You have your spring plate, your legs, and then the little leg inserts.
Okay.
So again, these are all machined ahead of time. We run these in the CNCs, but the leg inserts are designed like the rear legs to slide like a slip fit into the 3/4 inch tubing. This is 3/4 inch 156 wall tubing, and it's already been tapped and threaded for the spring rods, which come out of the top of the spring perch.
Okay.
So basically, we're just going to build the offset, or bend the offset, mark and bend the offset for the wide glide, which is 8.5 inch centers, and set up in the fixture and line it all up and weld it up. It's pretty simple.
All right. Well, let's get at it.
I really like using these. I make these little slips out of aluminum, just scrap aluminum, so they slide right over, and they're machined in the lathe, so it gives me a really flat surface to
make a circle.
mark a line.
That's brilliant.
That way, when you're rotating, you got 3 or 4 bends, you're rotating the bender, it's real easy to mark them out.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna set this at 3 inches. And 9 inches. All right. Now we'll just make our 2 bends 180 degrees out, and we'll kind of, just like the back legs, we'll kind of work into the fixture until it fits just right. Back over here with the Mittler Brothers bender. Gets lots of work in the shop. Give myself a little bit of room to play with here, and I'm gonna mark this and cut it, and intentionally cut this just a touch long. Once I get the bends right, I can start taking material off here until I line up flush with the spring plate on this side. So after cutting it, we got to deburr it with a little deburring tool, because this is going to be a really tight fit on this piece right. And we can see that we are shy. It's going to take more bend.
And where will it take more bend?
In both, because it's even. I modified the follow blocks. When you buy dies and follow blocks are real long, so I cut them short so I can slide them in between bends like this.
Okay.
Boom.
Oh, look at that. Yep. Stress-free. That's what you're looking for.
So that took us, 10, 12 minutes?
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of time, but it's not bad. Now you'll see I'm a little bit long here.
Yep.
And I want to be flush with this. So we're just going to take material off that side until we're flush. That way the bends will be the same on each end. We don't want to take material off up here, because that would change where our bends locate from one to the other.
And it's threaded up there.
And it's threaded, which would be a mess to have to clean all that up.
Right.
So we can measure if we want, but yeah, we're looking at about 100 thousandths. Now we're right there. Looking good.
Oh yeah, okay.
Now you can see that with these leg inserts, when we machine them, we machine the bevel, the chamfer, for weld penetration.
Right.
I'm gonna do the same thing on this side with the belt sander real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna put a bevel or chamfer on this side so we got a nice groove. We can get full penetration, get an easy weld in there.
Very good.
Instead of just having this slide all the way down and welding right here, where it'd be really hard to dress the weld off, I machine these so that it's stepped down, so if there's a radius here dictated by the machine, and machine this to 3/4 inch, so it's the same size as this tubing. That allows me to put the weld up here higher where I can dress this off, and now this will look like one piece of steel without having a weld joint down here. A lot of times you see a Springer with a weld joint down there, and this allows me to metal finish this off and have no weld seam at all.
Right on. And a lot of folks wouldn't notice those things, on Springer, so.
So now we're gonna do the exact same thing on this side. That's a tight fit.
All right, Will, so basically this side was just the mirror image process of that side, and so we've got it all fit in. Now, you had said with this one, and it was true of this one as well, that you don't want any stress. You just want it to lay in the jig this way, the fixture this way, and you know it's correct because those are machined to a
This
tight
is a
tolerance.
tight fit, and you saw how much I struggled with getting these to line up because this would not go on. It kept wanting to fight because these have to literally be right. This is a slip fit machine just to slip right on with no real wiggle. It's tight. So to get two of those to go on, you really got to be dead nuts on to make that slide on right there.
So that does it, and
that-
and with the other one, of course, he shaved off again, just little slivers, and so it all fits up nice and tight. So, all right, well, what is the next step in the process, Will?
Well, now what we're gonna do is, with it all lined up and level, I'm gonna weld these two lower inserts. I'm then gonna pull it back apart and dress those off real quick in the sander, and then reassemble again and weld the top. I can weld the whole thing together right now, but then it's more difficult to dress that weld.
Okay.
So as long as I have it all lined up correctly, I can weld it, disassemble it, dress the weld real quick, reassemble it in the fixture, and weld this top clamp, and we're done.
All right.
And it'll be real nice and clean.
All right, well, I'm going to step out of your way while you weld because I don't want to get flash burn.
Sounds good. You can see right here that I've got a low area. I don't want to just sit here and sand this down. I've just kissed the parent material here, but removed so little that it's barely even measurable. You can't feel the difference. But I don't want to just sit there and burn this down to that surface. This is where I was actually low on my fill with the welding. So I want to come in here and refill this with weld and blend it out. That way I keep this all smooth. I've done this in the past with a file. I still do it with a file sometimes. This is a little bit quicker. It touches a little bit of the parent material, but I've measured this and I'm losing less than 5 to 10 thousandths. I don't build my bikes for judges. I don't build my bikes for shows. I build my bikes for my customers. They're excited when the bikes show. I enjoy showing the bikes, but at the end of the day, we build motorcycles to ride.
All right, Pat Jansen and Will Ramsey. We're here at Greasing Gears Garage Road Show in New Albany, Indiana with Faith Forgotten Choppers. And over the last couple of days, Will has showed us the process of going from raw material all the way to production of a Springer front end. Now, obviously, now this needs to be assembled, and there's springs and all kinds of stuff. And on Greasing Gears Garage, you've shown us that before on our stage. But folks, that is the process that Will uses to make, honestly, the finest Springer front ends in the United States, all sourced with material, steel from the United States of America. And folks, you can't find a finer craftsman or a better product, I don't think. So, Will, how long will it take you now to do final assembly on this when you get to it?
Well, this will go out for chrome now. It'll go out to Mechlek in California. It'll be gone for about a month. Okay. Turnaround time is usually about 3 to 4 weeks. When it comes back, it'll take me about 3-4 hours to assemble it.
Okay. All right.
We've done, like you said, we've done it on stage before. So
yeah. So you can always go check that out on our YouTube channel, Greasing Gears Garage. But folks, if you're ever in the area of Louisville, coming through this area, New Albany, Indiana, of course, is just on the other side of the river from Louisville. Swing by Faith Forgotten Choppers. Will is generous with his time. He's got some great guys here. Craig running the front, Corey working the backside. But anyway, come by and see Will Ramsey, Faith Forgotten Choppers. This is Pat Jansen and Chris Callen coming at you, Greasing Gears Garage Road Show, and we'll catch you guys later.
Okay, so there's your first look at the new Greasing Gears Garage Road Show. Hey, for you guys that are still interested in catching us out at the shows, we're going to be at 3 locations this year with the full setup, the whole production trailer. Pat, Mark, all our builder buddies will be at the Roadhouse during Laconia Bike Week. During Sturgis, we'll be at the Iron Horse, and we'll be back at the Cherokee Rally again this year. Until we get back into the riding season, we do have 3 more episodes of Road Show to show you guys, and we're going to air those each Sunday starting next week at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, I'm Chris Callen. This is Greasing Gears Garage Road Show.